Hello and welcome to our 5th episode of Four Wall Chats. We hope you're all well.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Bea.
In this episode, we're going to be looking at how the crisis has affected other people around the world. But first, Cat Cam! It's like he's trying to dig something out of that hole.
It is. It looks really interesting.
Let's talk to our first guest, Zoe. She is a philosophy teacher at NYU.
Now, she was due to start a new job in the upcoming autumn, but due to premium processing of visas being suspended in light of the pandemic, she might not be able to now. Let's speak to Zoe now.
Hey, Zoe.
Hi.
Hi.
In a nutshell, could you just explain your situation in the US?
It was just announced that the US Customs and Immigration Service that process new visas has indefinitely suspended what they call premium processing. And that's both for new visas, people coming to the States for the first time, and for people who are changing status. So if you're switching from one visa to another, like if you're switching from a different institution or from a temporary job to a permanent job, as I am doing. And that was the plan at USC for my visa. So we're basically ready with the paperwork now. But now that premium processing has been suspended, that means that I'll have to go back into the big pile with everybody else. And so will everyone else that was planning to go through premium processing. So that's everyone that's trying to get a new visa right now, whether they're coming to the States for the first time or changing status. So that's probably quite a lot of people, which means there's likely to be a massive backlog. So it's unclear how long it'll take the visa to process. For those who are like me, who are changing status and are already in the United States, it's actually a bit more of a tricky situation because when our current visa status expires, we're out of status. So that means we're allowed to remain in the US while they're deciding whether to grant the new visa or not. We don't have to leave right away. But if we do leave, we don't have a valid visa, so we can't come back. And in the meantime, we're not allowed to work or study or do anything that you would need a visa status for because we don't have a valid visa. So that's a bit awkward because you're kind of trapped in the country. If you leave, you can't come back. But if you stay, you're not allowed to work. So you've got no income. And importantly, you've got no health insurance. There's no NHS over here. You may remember we're in the middle of a global pandemic. So not having any health insurance is probably the biggest risk.
How are things feeling where you are?
Yeah, it's a strange environment to walk around a city that's normally so dense and so vibrant as well, and to be in city parks when the days have been nice. I run a lot, so she'll run along trails where normally you can't. I mean, you're weaving around people everywhere you go, and to see everyone standing 6 feet apart or no people there at all and everyone wearing face masks, it really does feel like a post-apocalyptic zombie movie.
Yeah.
Except obviously real.
Yeah. What is the worst case scenario?
I suppose if you really want to be really fully pessimistic, because like I mentioned, there'll be this period if the premium processing isn't reinstated after my current visa runs out, where I'm not allowed to work and I have no health insurance. The worst case scenario involves that period dragging on, so I don't have any income, and I end up with a bit of time where I have to spend money but not really receive any of it. And then getting sick, because then that means medical bills. Again, there's no NHS in the United States. So if you get an ambulance, it costs $3,000. And even something as simple as a checkup can cost $100. So if you need respiratory treatment, that would literally bankrupt me.
Thank you so much for speaking with us, Zoe. Honestly, we'll keep in touch. Yeah?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Definitely. Thank you.
It's really hard to imagine New York City being that way, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A city that we think of as bustling and vibrant is a far cry from that right now.
Yeah. Well, we're talking to Emma, who's in Italy, just in a second. But first, we have Cat Cam.
And the cat dug out a nail.
I enjoyed that one.
Let's speak to our next guest. Emma Prosser is a chef working on a yacht.
She's been stuck on the boat for over a month now in total lockdown in Pisa in Italy. Let's chat to Emma. Hey Emma, how you doing?
Hi, I'm good.
What's it been like being in lockdown on a boat?
In some ways, it's we're kind of used to this kind of situation, because when we have guests on board during the summer, we hardly leave the boat anyway. So I guess in terms of people being sort of able to adapt to this situation, we're quite good. But it has meant that obviously, this would be our time before the season starts to be able to see family and feel refreshed, ready for the season. And we obviously can't leave the boat, and we also can't exercise. That's one of the laws in Italy, is we can't leave the shipyard. So actually I'm the only one that can, to provision. So I go to the supermarket and buy food, and then no one else, without a really good reason, can leave the boat. And you have to carry a form with you explaining where you're going, why, all your passport information, etc., in case you're stopped by the police.
Wow.
So it feels quite full on.
So there's obviously been significant changes in Italy. What would you say is the biggest impact it's had on your life?
I'd say, coming from being in Italy, is being outside and socialising. Obviously, it's a massive part of the reason people travel to Italy, and Italian culture itself is being outside, socialising with others, drinking wine, eating. So I think that's a really big one. But we certainly would have planned to have headed home sort of between now and the season starting, so we'll be missing out on that more than likely. And I was also, my partner and I are due to get married in September, so that's looking really unlikely now as well.
Oh, God.
Sorry to hear that.
It's okay. It may happen, but it's looking pretty unlikely. And obviously there's so many others out there that have also had their plans ruined, so we're just one of many.
Have you been able to work while you've been on the boat?
Yeah, we're continuing fairly normal Monday to Friday, really, which is giving us structure. We're not sort of roaming around wondering what to do with ourselves. And anyone who's worked on a boat or owned a boat will tell you there's a never-ending list of jobs that always need doing. The main problem's been getting hold of parts and materials to be able to, for the boys, especially on deck, for them to be able to do things, but they're certainly busy. And my job's cooking for the crew, so as long as there's crew, I've got a job to do, so that keeps me busy too.
I mean, in terms of the impact, are you aware of the wider impact within Pisa at all in Italy itself?
I was speaking to a friend today who is local, and he was saying the main thing is that everyone just feels really scared to leave the house. They've obviously had lots of friends and relatives that are either in hospital or they've lost. So the numbers are massive here, and we can't leave. You can't leave your house without a face mask and gloves. You can't go anywhere without those things on. So I think seeing that as well, just kind of, and although that's a good thing, I think seeing that everywhere around you just makes it feel even more like a really weird alien situation to be in. The week before Easter, it took me an hour and a half to get into the supermarket. It was a 4-hour round trip. Yeah, because it just, the whole thing took ages. But then this week it hasn't been so bad. I think everyone was just panicking because it was Easter week. It'd be like if this was happening in the run up to Christmas, I guess, obviously.
And I think one thing that you've sort of identified there is the difference between Italy and the UK. We get one daily.
Yeah, we get like an hour of exercise if we need it.
And it's something not to take for granted, because I think, that could be taken away from us, but also, it's something that other countries don't have at the moment.
And it's such a big impact on your mental health, being able to get outside and let off some steam. And I think if that gets taken away from the UK, I don't think you realise how important it is to you until it's gone. We heard from a friend that a lady locally had been charged €4,000 in a fine by the police because she had strayed further than 200 metres from her home. Like, I think you're allowed to go for a walk, but you can't go more than 200 metres. So that's not far at all, obviously.
I hope, you get some news soon on where things are at, and hopefully things will improve. Is there anything else you want to add at all?
Nothing massive that I can think of, but it was really nice to chat to you guys.
Yeah, it's lovely to talk to you too.
Yes, thank you so much.
Wow, it sounds so hard, her situation and Zoe's.
Absolutely. And I think the thing for Emma and the rest of the crew, the fact that they're so used to being out at sea and living on a boat means that this adjustment might not be so difficult. But I think the fact that the option of being able to go for a walk or go and have a bit of exercise being completely taken away from them must be really, really difficult.
I feel pretty lucky now in the UK, the fact that we are allowed to go out and exercise. But yeah, well, thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe, comment, and like. Stay strong and safe, beautiful people.